5 ways to deal with loss and grief as a business owner, but also as a human being, because we always are that, right? Hello and welcome. In case we haven't met before, my name is Katrin, coming from Bloom with Katrin to you from the beautiful Bavarian forest over here in Germany. And usually I come on live here to give you tips and tricks and strategies how to take your business from the offline world to the online in a sustainably successful way without annoying friends and family and hunting and chasing strangers, but attracting the right kind of people to you, your tribe who are already looking and searching for you. Today I come here in a very different mood. I'm very, very touched and very heartbroken for a friend and mentor of mine who has suffered, I guess, one of the most terrible things that can happen to a mom. She's lost both her girls in a flash flood a couple of days ago. And ever since I heard that, I haven't really been able to focus and concentrate, and I'm not my usual creative me. If that makes sense, let me know whether you can relate. And so I thought I might share with you today the 5 stages of grief, because even if that's not a grief that I'm going through personally right now, I can relate and I can feel that it really hit home. I mean, this happened in Utah in the United States. Maybe you've heard about this. And I live in the Bavarian forest, and it feels just as close as if it had happened to a friend of mine around the corner. So, and I thought that, I am experienced in grief because I have lost children as well while they were still in the womb. So it's a different kind of grief and loss that I had to go through than what this friend and mentor of mine is going through at the moment. And they have put together a GoFundMe fund. So in case you feel that this touches you, that it hits home for you as much as it does for me, then you are more than welcome. It's going to be much appreciated if you want to help this family. I'm going to put the link in the comment. So if you feel that you have it in your heart and in your possibilities to give whatever little thing it might be for you, it will be greatly appreciated by this amazing couple. I've learned so much from them. Whose life has just been turned upside down. And I really need to catch myself here or I'm going to start crying again. And it might happen anyhow. So here's the 5 stages of grief as they were researched by the amazing Elisabeth Kübler-Ross. I don't know whether you're familiar with her. I discovered her work in the early 2000s when I actually went through my greatest time of grief and loss. And I really had to somehow pick myself up and somehow continue to live, even though I didn't know how I would do it at the time. And I went through a lot of emotion and a lot of feelings. And there were times when I thought, okay, I'm going crazy. This is not normal. I need serious help. And what really helped me was reading her books, Elisabeth Kübler-Ross. Again, go research her if you're not familiar with her. She's an amazing source of wisdom when it comes around, all around, well, truly at death and loss and all those things. And I mean, every day we also have losses, right? Or we can encounter losses. So it might be helpful for you, I thought, to just share these 5 stages of grief and give you 4 very tangible ways of dealing with that in an effective way. So you can really focus on what's most important, which is yourself in a moment like this. So you actually have the headspace to not also worry about your business as you go into those stages of dealing with your grief. Okay. And do feel free to join in the conversation if you have experiences of your own that you'd like to, just talk about them. Feel free to put them in the text field down below. I'm looking forward to exchanging with you later on. So the first stage of grief is denial. And I think that is where I'm still stuck at a little bit when it comes to what happened to my friend and mentor. That is when we're in shock, in disbelief. We just can't believe it's happening. We think it's got to be, we're that's what happened to me when I was in the stage where I lost my children. I was like, okay, when am I going to wake up? This is just a nightmare. This is not real. Let me know whether you can relate, right? So that's the first stage. You're not going mad. It's normal if that is what you're going through right now, feeling this can't be happening. It can't be happening to me. Stage number 2 is a stage of anger. And I've got notes today to keep me on track. So if I'm looking down, that is why. Stage of grief number 2 is anger. Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me or to my friend and mentor? How can this be? We're looking for somebody, something to blame, right? That's stage number 2, and absolutely normal. And maybe, if you're listening to this, you can relate a little bit. Let me know. Because when something doesn't go according to plan, we also lose something, which is our plan, right? And we can go through some of those stages of grief as well, even if it's not such a major, unspeakably sad experience as my friend and mentor is going through right now. So it was stage number 2. Number 3 is bargaining. Okay, we're gonna to whomever we're gonna speak. If this can only be made well again, and like I can turn back time, I'm going to, I don't know, do whatever, right? There's a feeling of guilt involved, right? Like, how can I survive? How am I allowed to still build my business even though my mentor is going through that? Can you relate, right? So that's also like, how can I survive while somebody else can't? All those feelings, right? They're normal and to a certain extent even healthy for healing, right? Yes, it is a blessing to be able to survive things, and especially when others are not that lucky, guilt can be quite a companion for some time. Stage number 4 of dealing with grief is finally depression, when we are too sad to go live, and I nearly didn't do it today. When we're too sad to go on, to think creatively, to make that call, to do whatever it might be that we normally do like a breeze, right? But on these, in that stage of grief, we can't do those things. We are in a depression, and that's okay to a certain extent. And I always like to say it's okay, to put up your tent there for a few days and nights, but make sure to not build your house in that stage of grief, because it's going to come in waves. At least it does for me. Let me know. How do you experience grief? Is that something that just happens and it continues on the same level for days and days? For me, it's not that way. For me, it's really going through those phases and having to be fluid and flexible and really going along with the next wave of emotion when it comes. So in the final stage, which is what we maybe don't want, but where we are going to go and move towards, is acceptance and being at peace with what happened. And even when we lose our children, if we lose them, there can come moments when we are at peace with that. And I can attest to that because I am to some degree at peace with having lost 2 of my children. And it's a tremendously painful experience to go through. But I do feel that also by sharing my story here a little bit, hopefully, it might inspire somebody else who might be at a different stage in their grieving. Okay. So again, it's normal to go through those 5 stages, but it's also normal to not have every single stage and phase, but just hopefully it's going to help you or a loved one. And if you do know somebody who might benefit from this, feel free to send it along to them. And really also recommend Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She's an amazing read in times of loss and grief, at least for me. So here's my other 4 tips, 4 ways to deal with that when you're building your business. Because here's the thing, what can happen to me and what happened to me when I lost my first child was I dove deep into work. Like I didn't really go into the emotional side of things, if that makes sense, because I couldn't, because I wasn't, I, I can't really explain it, but maybe it was my subconsciousness deciding, okay, this is too painful. We're just going to pretend it hasn't happened, like, right? Like ignoring it. And excuse me, right? So that as well might be a way to deal with it for a certain period of time. What happened to me was second time I had to go through that experience, it hit me all the harder. And at the time, I had just begun building my business. And so I found those ways of dealing with it really, really helpful. That is getting my business side off my back. And here's a few tips around that. Okay. So tip number 2, if you wish. Tip number 1 is going through the grief in its phases and letting the waves of grief take us from one phase to the next. Not resisting our feelings and emotions, but like you're in a boat, okay, and you just flow with them, because that's all we can do at the end of the day. So, but to get your worries around what's going to happen in my business, if I really allow myself to feel the feelings, if I really allow myself to go through these phases and stages as they come. So these are the tips. Number 1 is tell your team, if you have a team, tell your clients to a certain extent, and be mindful as to how open you want to be, but tell them that something has happened in your life that you need to go through, and that maybe your answers are going to be are going to take longer than usually, so that put them in the know that something has happened, so you won't get angry messages from your clients, from your team members, whomever, like, what's going on? Why aren't you answering? Okay, so don't put yourself into that firing line, if that makes sense. Number 2, delegate tasks. Allow your team, allow your friends on your business team to help you, to step in, to maybe you have a Facebook group that you run together. Let them know that something has happened, and tell them that you can't maybe run that Facebook group as you used to, so they can step up, they can grow, and they can alleviate some of that load on your shoulders, if that makes sense. Allow them to help you. Number 3, activate your support net, whether it's people inside your business or outside. And when I say support net, I really mean people with whom you can be open, where you don't have to hold anything back. People who are going to listen while you talk and talk and talk, and you tell the story of what happened, and you tell your feelings, and you really share how you're going in your life at that moment. People who are going to support you, who are not gonna hit you with their advice, but who are just going to listen. Can you relate to that? It's a gift to really have somebody just sit with you, maybe even in quiet, in silence. And when you feel that you want to share, that you can just open up and you can cry with that other person. And I really have to check myself here to not break out in tears again. Okay? So that's, to me, a very important part of having somebody who is going to have your back during this process. Very, very valuable. And also always make sure that you can activate your support net, even when the loss is not as dramatic as of my friend and mentors, or my own that I shared with you on this video. But also, maybe when you lose a team member, or you lose a client, we go through certain degrees of grief as well. It's like a little grief trigger. So don't be surprised if it happens. Just know that is normal, and it's triggering your old grief, maybe that you haven't yet fully healed. And that actually takes me to my step number 4, or my way of dealing with it. Number 4 is really take your time. You have taken care of your business, which is awesome. So that is going to continue, not perfectly, but as well as you possibly can in this time, while you can take the time off to really let yourself dive deep into your process of, well, into processing of what's happened, into taking good care of yourself during that process, into really grieving and healing, maybe going through some or all of the stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance to some degree, right? So you can welcome, as difficult and hard as that may sound, you can welcome the waves of grief as they come to you. So you can develop and you can grow in a very painful situation even. So I hope this has made sense. I hope there was some value for you in this. If it was, do let me know. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Thank you so much. Stay healthy, stay happy, bloom while you can. Our life is a gift. Every day is a gift. It's easy to overlook, but if there's one amazing thing that can happen, or that happens to me every time when my grief is triggered because somebody else is going through their loss and grief, is really the preciousness of life, and that we only have so much time, and that it's really a blessing to be able to live the life that we truly want. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Take good care, and I hope to see you again on Sunday. All the best from Katrin from the Bavarian Forest. Bye for now.